Hey guys, Josh Olfert here, back with another video, and today it is September. It is September of 2020, and what that means is that this month I'm gonna turn 25 years old. It's like cue the quarter life crisis. If you even zoom in here, I do have some gray hairs. They are coming in, and that is really gonna bug me. But anyways, all of that being said, guys, I'm turning 25, and if I'm completely honest, I am kind of feeling like I should be further ahead by now. And I think there's a lot of people who think the same way, and you might think the same way. You get to a certain age where it's one of those milestones of 20 or 25 or 30 or 40, whatever it is, and you feel like you thought your life might be something new or better by now. But I think it's this whole idea, it's that famous quote, it's like people underestimate what it is they can do, oh, whoopsie, I'm gonna restart that. People radically overestimate what it is they can do in 1 year or 2 years, but they radically underestimate what they can do in 10. So hopefully that turns out for me. Hopefully the next 5 years are pretty explosive, because the overly idealistic kid I was when I was 18, 19, 20 thought things would go a lot faster. But today I want to talk about what are some of the biggest lessons. What are some of the biggest things I've learned, whether it was in sports, growing up, or starting a business, or being an investor, or growing this company? What did I learn from all that is gonna pay dividends throughout the rest of my life? So one of the biggest things that hit me over the head growing up was actually something I learned through sports. It was something I learned when I played really competitive volleyball. Our team had mental coaches, which is really interesting. We had coaches not just for the physical game and our practices, but we had coaches who were teaching us about things like visualization, being in a room. And I actually remember being in a classroom with these coaches, and they'd have us close our eyes and visualize the actions we were gonna take, or visualize ourselves having success. And the craziest experience I ever had with visualization that changed me forever was we were told to visualize what our ultimate goal in the sport was. And for me, being this egotistical, young, insecure kid, I wanted to be the best player in the country. That was my massive goal. And the way you do that is, you go to nationals and your team wins, and you're the team captain, and you get the MVP award. So it was hilarious. I would literally go to bed every single night, and I would visualize myself becoming the national MVP, which is just an absolute crazy ambition. It's a crazy thing to think that I could do. Over the years, I continued to practice, continued to do these visualization exercises. Like, I would literally do them every day. And then when I was 16, our team went to nationals in Toronto, and we played against all sorts of other teams, and I actually was elected the captain. And that year, we actually won nationals. And when we won and they announced the awards, I literally got called up on a stage in front of everyone and got named the national MVP. That was literally the craziest thing I've ever experienced mentally, because it was almost as if it was this thing I was visualizing for years, and then it happened. So you may have heard of like this law of attraction BS, or all these, manifestation exercises that these hippies do. I actually found that it worked, which was crazy, because it seems like pseudoscience. It doesn't seem like something that can really work. But in that period of my life, I realized that the ideas and the content and the philosophy that you hold in your head, or the things that you visualize, the things that you think about, can actually impact your physical life. So I began to do the same thing with my business, right? Every morning I would, visualize. I actually had a piece of paper, and I would read it out, and I would visualize myself becoming a successful business owner, because that's what my next dream was after sports. And then, sure enough, it was a long grind. It wasn't like nothing happened in between, but 2 or 3 or 4 years later, I found myself in the position that I had visualized. So it's almost this really weird thing. And it's not as if this is some complete pseudoscience. I mean, if you do some research, I was just reading something very interesting about this. This is from psychological studies. Your mind sees so many things every single day. At any moment, there's 1,000 items in front of you that you could pick out. But what your mind does is it uses what you value to signal out what is actually important. So imagine that you've been standing all day long. Maybe you've been outside, maybe you've been working, whatever it might be, and your legs are exhausted and you want to sit down. Now, if you asked a robot, to identify a chair, it could pick out a chair and it could go sit in that chair. But as a human, you might be able to see a rock as a chair, or the hood of a car as a chair. So all I'm saying here is that based on what you value, your brain will show you different things. Even though, a hood of a car might not be meant for sitting on, if you value sitting down in that moment, it can actually be seen as a chair, which is something that robots can't do that humans can. So if you use your mind and you train it to show you what you value, if you're a great artist, for instance, you're gonna notice art that I don't. And if you're someone who's really interested in cars, you're gonna notice cool cars that drive by that other people don't. So by training your mind and visualizing the things it is that you want, you can actually take something that's in your head and turn it into reality, because your mind and your brain will show you things in your life that other people wouldn't see, and then you can act on them. You might act on business opportunities that other people don't see. You might introduce yourself to that person that you know who it is, but no one else does, and that opens up opportunities for you. So I would say that's really maybe the big lesson that I learned in my adolescent years, was the fact that what's in your mind can actually change your life on the outside, which was pretty crazy. So as I was getting out of sports and thinking more about my career, one of the careers that jumped out at me as super fascinating was the idea of becoming an investment banker. And if you don't know what an investment banker is, they're those people who help companies merge or help companies like Amazon go public, and they make a ton of money because they make a percentage of the whole value of the business. Investment bankers make a lot of money, but they work a ton of hours. Some investment bankers are known for working 100 to 120 hour weeks. And that was what I aspired to. I thought, hey, I'm gonna go to Wall Street, I'm gonna make all sorts of money, I'm gonna go get my finance degrees, and I'm going to become an investment banker. I'm gonna live the cool life where all the, you have these hustlers who are well known and they're wearing the cool suits and they're running around New York doing all this crazy stuff. But what I realized pretty quickly is that life has a finite amount of time, right? So we each have only a certain period of time in the world. So if you're always trading your time away for money, that's a pretty bad trade, because you're literally taking a resource that is finite. You only get 80 or 85 years of it, and you're trading it away for money, which is this thing that is essentially infinite. So as I was going through this journey of trying to become an investment banker and all this sort of thing, I really started to think, well, is it possible that maybe for my lifestyle or for the enjoyment of my own life, that I can find something where I don't have to trade my time away for money? Maybe I'm someone who's better, or probably built more so, to value freedom versus just valuing very hard work and making an insane amount of money to do that. So I think the biggest thing I learned about my career is that, of course, everybody has to at some point in their life trade their time away to make money. But I think that some of my most aspirational role models, the people I really admire in business or in life or whatever, are people who have eliminated the need to trade their time away for money. They have developed some specialty, or they've built some business, they have investments that allows them to really maximize the life they live over the next 80 years, so that they're not forced to be working and trading their time away. So I think that's probably one of the most impactful lessons that really kind of steered the course of my life and my career, was learning that I didn't have to trade time for money for my whole life, and I could actually find something that could pay me without me necessarily needing to trade hours. In this moment, being this young adult, I was thinking, okay, I gotta find ways to stop trading my time for money, or eventually be in a place where I can stop. So I do what every kid does, and I go to Google and I'm like, how can I make money without trading away my time? And I'm not sure, do they do that? And what I found was all of these beautiful courses that were going to teach me how to do just that. I had the stock trading course, I could make money over there. I had the e-commerce course, I could do all these different things, and they were gonna make me all this passive income. And I was gonna invest in real estate and do all these wholesaling deals or whatever they might have been, and I was gonna get very wealthy at a very young age, just like they had showed me in the advertisements. And what I found was that I never gave anything enough time. If the day trading plan didn't work for 6 months, I gave up because, it's stupid, that's not making money. Like, there's kids who are billionaires when they're 26. Like, I'm not on that track. Like, get rid of this one. What's gonna make me a billionaire? So I go to the drop shipping thing, or I go to the e-commerce thing. And what I found is that over the course of 2 or 3 years, I jumped from thing to thing to thing with no patience, and I ended up just wasting time because I wasn't doing anything real. And the craziest thing of all, the real kick in the teeth, was that I had very good friends who did things the right way. They wanted to be entrepreneurs. They wanted to, have success and build a business. And what they did was they built a really good product, and they found customers, and they matched them and they created what was a real business. And they ended up becoming worth millions and millions of dollars and having very successful businesses. And I ended up not. So the lesson there was, don't fall into the gimmicks. Do what is real. Have the patience to do something that is real, that is providing value to real people, and do that over and over and over again and stay consistent with it, even if it doesn't show results in the short term. So that patience is something I had to learn the really hard way, seeing people who were very close to me become extremely successful while I had been kind of jumping from hot thing to hot tip. And it was a complete waste of time. I make that realization and I understand that, okay, what I really need to do is I need to build something that is real and create a company that has real customers and has real revenue and provides a real service. And I was able to focus on one thing for 3 or 4 years and just stick with that. And it brought a lot of fulfillment to do that, because you have some goal, some massive goal, and you work towards it every single day. I was working day after day after day, putting in these insanely long shifts. I started out as this financial advisor in this little office, going in and being the first one in at 9 or 8:30 and being the last one out at 10 p.m. And every single day I felt like I was making this incremental progress by doing that. And all of that progress I was making and all the things I was doing was because I had this dream of making an actual living running my own business. And what I found is the day came, many years later, where it actually became a real business and I was actually surviving off of that business. And I was actually starting to have some discretionary money and things that I could actually do for fun because there was money coming in. And what I found was that the fulfillment of that was so fleeting. The money that I achieved, that I thought, okay, once I make this much and I'm running my own business, doing my own thing, I'll be just perfectly content. And this is the cliche, but what I really learned in that process was the fulfillment you feel, or the peace of mind you feel when everything in life seems to be going right, isn't about achieving some level of income. It isn't about achieving some level of wealth or some level of success. For me, it was about taking a ton of responsibility and fulfilling your duty every single day. So it's more about, okay, you think to yourself, what is it that I need to do today to be the person I want to be in 5 years or in 10 years? If you are not taking the actions that get you to that place, you're going to feel guilty and you're going to feel insecure and you're going to feel horrible. And what I learned through the process is the fulfillment I'm going to feel in my life isn't going to come from making Haven a bigger company. It isn't going to come from getting more and more clients. It's going to come from defining what it is that is the highest version of myself in 5 years or 10 years from now, and making sure that I'm not missing a single day where I put the work in every single one of those areas. So I think the lesson there is that the responsibility you take and the duty you take every single day is what actually makes you feel good, as opposed to just making more money. Now, looking back at all of this, I think that when I was that teenager getting ready to go into the workforce, I was, dealt kind of an ultimatum. It was, okay, I can take the normal template life, which is, follow the rubric, you go to school, you get good grades, you go to university, you specialize, you get a degree, and then what you do is you go find a great employer. And this was kind of option A. And I saw this as kind of the template life that every single person went through. And I still see it as that. And I think that now in 2020 or whatever year it was, I don't necessarily believe that you have to do it that way. Looking back at all of these different things I learned over the past, decade or so, I think one that stands out as well is, I was given 2 options when I was young. It was the first option, which seems like the singular option. It seems like your only option, which is the rubric templated life. You grow up, you go to school, you get fantastic grades, you go to university and you get a good job. You specialize, you work in that job, build your experience, and then you retire. And that's kind of the arc of life. And what I realized through this process is, I never went to university. I never got good grades. But I was able to still have, a life that resembled something that I had dreamt of, which was really cool. And I think that being where we are in this day and age, of course it makes sense for someone to go to school and get great grades and go to university. It is the best return for the lowest amount of risk. If you're willing to be ambitious and you're willing to take risks, there is no need to follow the template anymore. Life isn't that scary. You get outside of the school system when you think there was only one way to do things, and you realize that everybody's kind of winging it, degree or not. What I learned here is that if you're willing to take serious risks, you can design your own life. I mean, you only get to live you once, right? And I only get to live me once, and I'm gonna have 80 years here. So I would rather design that existence than kind of try to squish it into some template that people say is kind of the right way to do things. So I would say those are some of the biggest lessons I've learned over the past 25 years. And I think about ideas and philosophies in this way, right? If they're really like investments, you can buy a stock and it will pay you dividends over and over and over. And I think a great way to think about ideas and the way that I think about philosophy and ideas is they're an investment in your mind that pays dividends over and over. If you learn a great lesson in business or in life or whatever it might be, those literally pay dividends. You use them over and over again and they benefit you in the real world. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Those are some of the biggest lessons I feel like I've really taken in over the last 25 years. And if you like videos like this, hit that thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on post notifications for more videos like this one every single week. Until next time.